Hello, good day, everyone. Welcome all to another market review session with us here at EasyFX Academy. And I'm just going to go straight into the charts. All right. So our last week was quite good. We had, quite a profitable week past, and I believe that we should still have a continuation, or definitely we should have a continuation, of that. So let's start from gold. Now, definitely everybody knows that gold has been massively bullish. All right. However, I have some, possible entries for us to work with for the buys on gold. All right, and basically this might be the only one I'll be dropping to, this time frame. This is basically the 5 minutes already. All right, but my possible buy entry, I'm just going to go straight into what I've seen so far. So basically, this is just a fib region. All right, just using this as my low and this current point that gold has gotten to as the high. All right, and then I'm just using that to mark out. Let me be a bit more accurate with that, please. Right, so just somewhere around here, right? Just somewhere around here. Give me a minute, let me just get that as clean as possible. So yeah, somewhere around there basically is my fib region. I'm watching out for possible buys from this week. This is between 3814.95 and 3811.91. All right, that basically is where I'm watching out for the possible buys currently this week. There's a little bit of a pivot region around here, not a little bit, there's a pivot region around 3818.69. I'm going to be quite watchful about that region, or for that region also. I'll see if that region will still hold for us as a possible support, and then we can see price maybe push up even before we get to this zone. All right, but whatever the case may be, whatever the case might be, I would still be working with the buyers for us to be sort of bullish on gold, of course, definitely, right? But maybe a drop towards this low this zone here, then the buy, or maybe we get to see this other point here holding up. Maybe we can just see another sweep of that, though the possibly price pushes up. But whatever the case is, this will be my more preferred entry, the second one that I gave us the coordinates to, all right, for the buys on gold. All right, but that's like I usually say, please by all means watch out for your entry criteria, or sorry, entry confirmations, and then practice proper risk management, right? So that's it for gold. I'm not going to take too much time. Let's go to AED card. AED card, let's start from, should we start from the daily time frame? All right, yeah, so daily time frame AED card, basically I'm seeing that this guy is quite bullish. All right, but however, in every single movement, we want to say an impulse and then a possible retracement. So basically what I'm watching out for right now is for the buys from around here. All right, that's still quite far on the daily time frame. That's around 0.90354 and 0.89949. All right, but for the immediate trade that we might be able to see, there's a possibility for us to still see the zone holding up right now. This is around 0.91689 and 0.91529. There's a possibility for that zone to hold, though it is very, very minimal. All right, we might just see, I just see a sweep, maybe price gets into somewhere, let's say, give me a minute, or maybe price gets somewhere, let's say, around maybe just a little bit above here. That will be around 0.91788, and then maybe we'll get to see a drop. But this basically is what I'm going to be watching out for right now on the card for this week, and then possibly we'll get to see price get there this week, and we'll get to join in, all right, for the buys. But that basically is my current bias on AD card. All right, yeah, I believe that we should work with that for the meantime. All right, so next up, let's see AUDCHF. Yeah, so ADCHF, I just have a straight buy and I'm watching out for here. The demand region between 0.51962 and 0.51786. All right, so again, this is something I think we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks now. Price has been slowly reaching that point, that zone. All right, and I believe that possibly this week we should have we should see the manifestation, as it was, of that region. All right, so that basically is what I am currently projecting right now for AEDCH. I've already explained the reasoning behind that bias, all right, in our past videos. All right, so let's move on. I think we'll do let's do Euro AUD next, right? Let's do Euro AUD next. Now, if you remember from our last session last week, we were talking about the fact that we just wanted to see price break above this high and then a drop. I've gotten to see that, and somehow it looks like we are still going to see a continuation of that drop. Let me come to the daily time frame. All right, it still looks like we possibly might have a continuation of that drop. All right, whatever the case is right now, I still want to see price drop a little bit more. So let me drop down to the 2 or maybe even the 1 hour time frame. All right, so I basically still want to see price, push down a little bit more for possible re-entries. For possible re-entries for the sales. All right, since we're still watching out for maybe bearish continuation for possible re-entries for the sales. If we get to see a break and retest of this point, this region where price basically is right now, I believe that would be quite good. Region between 1.78314 and 1.78098. So I want to see a break and retest of that region, a break or below that region, price coming back into it again for possibly a strong retest, and then we can ride the sales towards the downside. Yeah, I think that's quite good. So for your TPs, many different points. You can take TPs as preferred. All right, if you're taking it for a scalp trade, if you're entering on lower time frames, this point here could be your TP1, maybe around 1.77882, depending on whatever time frame you're entering anyway, and whatever whatever makes your whatever you're comfortable with, most comfortable with. But I think these regions are quite good for us to work with. So you can either take your TP here 1.77446, anyone basically. But I think we should be bearish on Euro 80, this coming week. Right. So let's do EJ next, Euro JPY. Now Euro JPY, this is something I've been waiting for, and I am still going to be very, very, very patient. Even if price, eventually doesn't drop that low, I'm still going to be very, very patient for this buy. Again, demand region 172.818 and 172.455. I believe I've explained my bias in that wise, and I still believe that it's something that we might get to see, or we should get to see, still hold up. All right, so let me see. Let me quickly check something on the 4-hour time frame, on the daily time frame. Yeah, yeah. I think I would still hold on to this for the meantime. I think I'll still hold on to this for the meantime. This is so I'm just going to quickly take out like maybe a few seconds to mark out some of the interesting pivot regions, and then we'll see how price has reacted to them before, and the possibility of price, or where exactly we might expect to see price when it gets to them right now. Forgive the sort of messy charts, just give me a little bit to you know rectify the way things look. So let me delete this. Right, okay, so there is that pivot there. So there is, let me see if I should use the rectangle tool to mark it out. So there's this pivot region sitting around somewhere there. That looks very important. So we might get to see buys from here. We might get to see buys from here, though. If at all I'm going to be taking this type of buy, I'll be majorly watching out for something like a quick trade, maybe a scalp, maybe not something that I would necessarily hold for too long, right? If at all I think I'm going to go for, maybe I'll just take it up to this high. But this would be possible buy entry number one, POI in one. For the buys 173.856, between 173.856 and 173.6. 650, right? That'll be my POI one, and then my POI two will be this one here between 172.818 and 172.454 for the possible buy. So POI one, POI two marked out in that way. So I hope that is clear for Euro JPY. Let's not take too much of our time. Let's go to Euro USD next. I believe you are learning, and I believe you are gaining value even as we are progressing. Right. So for Euro USD, I do believe we should be bearish this week, or we should have at least a continuation of the current bearish sort of momentum that we've been noticing for quite some time right now. Sorry about that, sir. Basically, price already has given us a fair reaction from it. Not the best. In fact, there's so much struggle here right now. If you notice inside somewhere like here, there's such a huge struggle. That price is trying to just pull up with, go through as it was in that region. I'm not necessarily too comfortable even with this buys, even with the buys I'm seeing right now. All right, even with the sales rather that I'm seeing right now, but. If possible, we do get to still see this zone holding, then definitely this. And I have a current, should I call it a bias for the euro pair as it was to still be bearish. But because euro is weak does not mean, euro USD should necessarily sell, right? The other things to consider. All right. So that being said, I believe if at all, so this is what I'll just ask us to do, right? If we still see this zone holding and we see a break below this low, right? You see, if we get to a good enough body break below this low, then I think we can work for possible sell re-entries, maybe on the lower time frames. Yeah. So possible sell re-entries can just be taken from a simple break and retest of this region around here. All right, possible sell re-entries, to ride price, towards the previous low that was created there. All right, but if at all we don't get to see, then definitely we should work with the bullish bias, and though I can see a possible break and retest also for the bullish bias, but I'm not going to call it right now. So let's work with this for the sales. If at all it is bullish, all right. If at all it is bullish, what you can easily do to just maybe join the movement later on can be a break and retest over here. This is not necessarily the best one because I'm seeing a smaller one. Because let's see on the 30 minutes time frame, is it going to be showing there? Yeah, it's showing on the 30 minutes time frame. But this is what you can do. You can just work with the IS candle there, all right, for the possible break and retest, which is this. Right, so that the coordinates. The coordinates for the break and retest for the sell, all right, is 1.17192 and between 1.17192 and 1.17092 for the sell. For the buy, the coordinate is around 1.17547 and 1.17412. So that basically is it for Euro USD though I am trying my best to still hold on to the hope. Don't mind me, right? That we should still we should still see whether the bearishness, continue. All right, but I believe you have an understanding of what I'm waiting for right now. Simple break and retest. Trust me when I tell you, a break and retest usually is quite safe. All right, when it comes to the possibility of it playing out and at least holding up for risk management. So that's basically it for EU. Next up, let's see G card. I think I saw something earlier on G card. Right. So remember, I think last week we were bearish on GBP card. Let me see that. Yeah, last week we were bearish on GBP card. So we had the sales prices come up again. And I think we should still get to see the sales hold up a little bit more. I mean maybe the way we. All right. Let's look at it together. Let's look at it a bit better. So we have price basically didn't give us a break below here. All right, but we still have the fact that currently there is this. Maybe I should just use a full count so I can be able to see what I'm talking about right now. Let me delete this. Right, so yeah, give me a minute, please. Well, okay, that was okay. All right. So basically, there is this, pivot around there. Maybe on the lower time frames, we'll see it. Let me see. Yeah, so it's quite clear on lower time frames. This, right? There's this sort of region around there that we're seeing this current reaction for the sales from. All right, so for JP card right now, let me see to our time frame. Ooh, not the best plotting, but let's see. If that's all I'm looking out for a buy, I'll prefer to work with somewhere below here. Even that is not looking. You know what? If at all we're looking out for the buys, right? And I'm saying that if at all because from what I'm seeing right now, there's a possibility for us to still see price maybe give us a little bit of a drop. And if at all we get to see that drop getting into here, I think this should be good enough regions. This will be a good enough region for the buy. All right, between 1.86198 and 1.85970 for the possible buys here. All right. Even though I'm still tempted to work with the bearish bias, right? Because definitely we've seen, break of this low, though we've not just seen a break of this low. So I also assume that this current, this current touch here was just going to be the next, the new lower high basically, and then see price dropping a bit more. All right, but all the same, this is currently where we are right now. I think we should still get to see some sales at the very least still here. So if you're looking out for possible buy entries, it's going to be that region I gave you earlier. If you want to get in for the sales, anyway, anything can happen by the towards the middle of the week, towards the end of the week as the week progresses. Basically, if I get to see that the price movement I'm seeing doesn't get to tally with this zone anymore, if I get to that maybe there's a sort of strong momentum on price, then definitely I would forgo that region. All right, but for possible sell re-entries right now, as usual, you can easily work with the break and retest of here. All right, you can easily work with the break and retest of this region. Maybe we get to see something like this. Right, then something like this. All right, but basically sell break and retest sell region between 1.86761 and 1.86596. Now, like I usually tell you, these regions or these values I'm giving you or these coordinates I'm giving you might vary depending on your broker, on your chart. So by all means, do make sure to cross check before taking any of these trades. All right, that's it for G card. Let's do GJ. Right, let's do GJ, then maybe about 2 or 3 more commodities, and then we can call it a session. Right. So this is GJ. Let me start from the 4-hour time frame. Right. So GJ basically, let's see. I remember last week we were seeing a lot of power rangers on JPJ. I was very, very pissed around all this region. I was just, oh God, but if you want to buy, if you want to sell. But it can be like that sometimes, right? So currently for GJ, okay, I think this was a private region I marked out earlier for the possible sell re-entries on this guy. So let's see, this is what I'm currently expecting right now. Possible sell entries on GBP JPY between 199.984 and 199.819. So basically, it's just a pivot region. I think I marked it up on 1 hour time frame. No, was it on 30 minutes? I'm trying to remember what exact time frame I marked it out on. Did I drop that low? It's looking like I dropped that low. It's just looking like it. Yeah, I probably dropped a lot lower for this region, but that's not the point anyway. I'm just trying to show you the possible region for the sell. So basically, what I'm watching out for right now is the fact that we've had this low being taken out. All right, this basically should be the next target. at least it looks like what should be the next target. So I'm just watching out for at least price maybe give us at least another touch of here. So this was another little bit swept here. So the possibility of us still maybe seeing price at least still drop a little bit lower. Right, so let me mark this one here too. So you see that. Right, so I want to see price possibly push up into here. All right, and then we get to see the drop from there. All right, again, that's still a pivot region. So we've seen support, resistance around there. So that's it basically. Again, we coordinate for the sell region or the supply region on GBJPY 199.984 and 199.819. Right, so that's it for GBP JPY. I believe that's clear. Let's do GU, of course. Definitely, come on. How shall we not do GU? Right, so for GU, I'm going to be very, very cautious on GU. At least maybe till tomorrow, Wednesday when I get to something a bit clearer. All right, right now what I'm seeing on GU isn't as clear as I would prefer. All right, because definitely we have supply region around there which is still holding up. That whole region is basically a drop-based drop, supply. Right, and it seems like we're seeing some level of sell momentum, or at least sales happening from there already. But I want to be very, very cautious. Like I said, I'm going to be extremely cautious on GU. Now, if you notice, I didn't use a rectangle tool to mark this out because this is very, very risky. So a very, 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 very high risk trade on GBP for the buys between 1.34113 and 1.33885, right? So I didn't mark it out with the rectangle to mean that I'm really not necessarily going to be so keen about taking it, because from what I can see right now on GBP USD, I believe we should still be bearish, and if that is true, then definitely I'm watching out for price to are these equal? Are these lows equal relatively? Right, I'm watching out for price to still drop as low or as far as this, right? So that basically is what I'm watching out for, because basically I've not seen any sign, right, at least on the higher time frames, 4-hour, 1-hour time frame, right, of GBP trying to turn bullish right now. All right, at least I'll maybe prefer to see this eye being taken out before I have that bias. All right, but for the meantime, if I thought we get to see a drop towards this region, if you can risk it, I would advise it. I'm just telling you. I won't necessarily advise it. At least if you're a more conservative trader, that would be where you should watch out for the possible buys from. All right, but overall, I think GBP USD should still be bearish. All right, I'm just giving, like I said, let me just reiterate that, right? I'm just giving you that region because I believe that this is still an evident region necessarily, not necessarily the most valid, all right, but it's still quite, it's still there, rather, and I believe that at least if at all you're good enough with it, if you're able to scale down, or refine out to maybe lower time frames, maybe 5 or 15, or maybe even a 3 minutes time frame, you might be able to get some good pushes towards the upside from there. All right, so that being said, again, remember we're still bearish from this region. We still want to see price at least come towards here for that. So let me see if we might. I'll prefer not to drop too low. All right, I'll prefer not to drop too low on this. Okay. We have, right. So if we get the price to push up a little bit, I think this is somewhere we might want to work with for the possible sales. There's still a possibility for us to have sales from here. All right. So basically, another supply region, or the supply region that I'll more, at least I'll be calmer. I'll be more confident to work with to be this one between 1.34497 and 1.34389. So somewhere like this, something like this. Something like this. All right, so that basically is what I'm watching out for right now on GBP USD. All right, so last but not the least, I think we'll just take one more. All right, because of time. Last but not the least, we'll do USD card for today. And for USD card, I have many, as usual now, I have many guys marked out here, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain my bias right now. So for USD card right now, I do believe that we should get to see, we should get to see, a retracement happening, meaning I'm expecting this guy to, at least for the majority of the week, be bearish, even if not the majority, at least maybe between now and Wednesday, right? So this is going to be for a break and retest. This region I marked out for a break and retest, even though it is a rally-based rally supply, rally-based rally demand rather, we should get to see a break and retest from there. All right, so basically in this case now, the region or the zone, the coordinate for the zone I want you to work with, between 1.39071 and 1.38848, right, for the sales. So break below that region, get a retest into that region, they'll get to enter our fire in for our sales Possible buy re-entry. Now, this will be the only region I'll be watching out for buys. So I won't be looking out for buys until I get to see price come into this region on USD card. As you can see, it's quite large. So at the very least, I also definitely want to work with refinements of the lower time frames, maybe even down to the 1 hour, 30 minutes time frame, at least as a swing trader. But for the possible buys, anywhere inside 1.38257 and 1.37691, 1.38257 and 1.37691, we will be watching out for possible buys from on UCAD. All right, so that being said, with a few words of mine, I hope you have gained. I hope you have gained value from today's session. Again, it has been another market review session with us here at EasyFX Academy. Please do well to like this video, share this video to your friends, tell your friends about it. This is something that we do for free, and I believe everybody can gain something from it. All right, and as usual, I would always tell you, practice proper risk management. By all means, work with your own entry confirmations on lower time frames if possible. And I'm very, very, very sure we're going to have a very profitable week ahead of us, guys. I believe this weekend should be, or the ending of this week, Friday should be our, NFP, the NFP news release. All right, I'll be trading that live as usual with Aditola Freeman on FBS Analytics and Education YouTube channel. All right, so do also catch us there also. And I'm very sure we're going to have a profitable week, guys. Have a lovely rest of your week. Bye bye.